Hi, milkers. Welcome back to Tres Leches, the podcast where three Latina friends tell stories, unpack identity, and get real about everything from pop culture to politics.
It's sweet, it's a little messy, and always drenched in milk.
3 kinds of milk, in fact.
And the best part is, you can enjoy our milk even if you're lactose intolerant.
Rate, like, subscribe, and share with someone who gets it. Or needs to. I feel like we're doing couples therapy right now.
Yeah, well, God forbid. God
What is
forbid.
the name of that lady?
Because, you know, couples therapy, beginning and the end.
That's what I hear.
It's the end of something old, but it's the beginning of something new. Have you ever done it?
I know. I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy for, what do you think? I'm fucking nuts? I am. But I mean, yeah, I've been in therapy since 1990.
When will it show?
Never. Let me tell you something about therapy. You on therapy? You in therapy? I'll tell you something about therapy. It doesn't cure anything.
Right.
It doesn't cure. It'll never fill the hole that you need filled every fucking day. What it does is it helps you live with it. It helps you accept it. It helps you live with it. It helps you rein it in a little bit. That's what it does. It's not a cure-all. It never was. That's what people think, that, you know, oh, I'm going to get so much better.
Yeah.
If you're a dick, you're a dick.
It works if you work it.
It works if you
like
work it.
most things. Okay, but Mario, over the years, how many, have you had like various chapters with different therapists? Did you have long relationships, or are you a mover?
You mean with therapists?
Yeah, with therapists. Have you tried many different?
I've had one therapist. Her name is Sandy. She was actually from Chelsea, Massachusetts originally. My family was originally from Everett, even though I grew up in Stoneham, Massachusetts. But she was from Chelsea, Massachusetts. She knew like people my sister knew, and she was my sister's age. But she's awesome. And her husband, who was one of the greatest criminal lawyers in New York State.
Oh.
Holy hell.
Yeah, he was amazing. So yeah, she I never met him, but she saved a lot of my life.
I love that.
Wow.
She would say shit like this, which was very interesting. Like when you talk about, you know, going to the gym, wanting to be in great shape, and wanting people to be attracted to you. And she would go like this. She would go, okay, so you're in great shape. Someone's attracted to you. Then what do you have? Well, then they want me and they want to have sex with me. And then what do you have? Well, you have fucking shit. Basically, the point is you got gots. You got gots. It means fucking nothing.
Wow.
So she would say that to me. I'd be like, wow, that's awesome.
That is.
And I'd be like, all right. And then I'd skip out of there like Jiminy Cricket and be like, hey, let's go to Pleasure Island, you know. Come on, Pinocchio.
Ian, I was going to ask you, if the iconic voice didn't give it away, who are we sitting with today?
You know, yeah, he didn't introduce me, Johnny, because he's very rude.
Oh my
God, he just went to an email to see who I was. This is fucking horrifying.
It's because I want to be prepared, and I don't want to miss the beat, because you're gonna give me notes after me, like, you didn't mention that thing that I used to do.
That's all right. I don't care what you mention and what you don't mention.
Today's guest truly is a Broadway beast, a comedy hurricane, and the Italian uncle that I do really think we all secretly wished raised us. I have to say, I am lucky enough to be being raised by him now in his elderly age. He's doing charity on this child who needs help. You know him as Anthony Marentino on Sex and the City and Just Like That, as well as originating the role of Samuel Bick in Sondheim's Assassins.
Well, the Broadway version of it. I didn't originate it off Broadway in 1990.
Oh, okay.
Lee Wilkoff.
Excuse me.
And here's another fact. Nathan Lane did the original workshop, and he couldn't do it, and then Lee Wilkoff did it. And then in 2005, we ended up doing it on Broadway, and I played Sam Bick. So I was the original Broadway one.
Which is
Got it.
not the only thing that
I
matters,
gotta give credit where
but
credit
it does
is
matter.
Well, no, it
does.
matters because Lee was great, and I'm sure Nathan was amazing. Yeah, you know.
Look at that. Modest humility. He's humble. Can you believe? Anyway, so he's got an iconic career in stand-up, Laugh Whore, which is a comedic one-man show featuring songs and stories that he received a Tony Award nomination for Best Special Theatrical Event in 2005.
But I lost! I lost! That was a big year, you know. That was, it was a big, that category was, I think it was it wasn't the last time that category happened. I think a few years later, Liza Minnelli won. But the year I was nominated, it was me, Dame Edna, Whoopi Goldberg, and Billy Crystal. And Billy
Holy
Crystal
hell.
won, who was so kind to me during the whole Tony. Yeah, it was stacked. It was. Yeah, it was great. That was a you know, it was.
It's easy to be kind to people who lose. You know, you're sort of like, oh, I
No, but he didn't. It was before. It was when we were like doing press
I
stuff.
see.
He was quoting me and to me, and he was so kind to me, and you know, he was a big deal to me growing up too.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was pretty great, and I got to know Whoopi during that time even more. I had already done a radio show before she was on The View, so it was a great time.
You
It
know,
really was.
you just said something that actually is very true for me, and I don't know if we've talked about this, but like I grew up with you, and it's really, I'm serious. This is not a joke. I'm not trying to make you feel as older than you already are. I don't have to do that. But no, I really did grow up with you on my TV screen, on Sex and the City. And so like to have this sort of full circle moment where one, we even did a show, we'll get into all of this, but that you're in my life in the way that you are, that you're sitting on my couch and we're doing this podcast, and like, you know, it's just really, really cool and amazing.
You know why that is? Because I picked you. I chose you to be in my life.
Wow.
That's not true. We chose each other.
We did choose each other, but
Yeah.
you did pick me.
But I did kind of go, who's this cute little boy?
Oh.
And then, you know, then I got bored and I was like, all right, he's just a fucking dude.
Yeah, she's used to that.
Yeah. It's a very nice face. Yeah, she is. But she didn't know she was going to get an uncle.
I did.
Yeah, but I've always loved your love, I will say. I've always thought it was just like the way that Ian talks about you, Mario, when you're not around is with just a warmth. I want you to know that. For
It's
real.
a
He
warmth
really
and a
does. He
reverence that you
adores
would think that you were the uncle that has seen Ian through all of these years of stuff. So it is,
Well,
it's the reverence is very
it's
much there.
It's nice being revered, not just because we're friends, though, but it's nice being not. And this is excluding you because we're friends. It's a different thing. But it's nice being revered by the younger gays in show business, which is very rare for me.
Really?
Doesn't happen a lot. No, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not in everybody's head, so I don't know. But no, but like someone like Matteo Lane, he has spoken about me early in his career in the press that I was a big influence on him. That means the world to me.
Yeah.
And you know, and he's fantastic and
He is
talented, and he's a good guy. He's a good guy too. You can feel it. Anyway,
and he's
so that's
smart,
nice.
obviously.
No,
You know, he's got his head on his
He's
shoulders.
very smart, and he's funny. Yeah. So
Yeah, it'd be
and
different if
this
it were
kid-
someone that you were like, they're like, I love you. You're like, oh no, girl.
Yeah. Well, you know, when I met my icons, when I met Robert Klein, who was a big deal for me, he was so kind to me. He came to see my one man show, and he even saw it pre-Broadway when I did it at the Roundabout as a tryout thing. He and I remember meeting him, and he saw me, and he said, you know, me and my son watch you on Steam Pipe Alley, which was my children's show that I had for 5 years from '88 to '93, which was which we got away with murder on that show. Like it was a sketch comedy show with games, and it was sick.
Yeah.
Sick. You couldn't get away with it now. We did the Mommy Dearest obstacle course. We had a game called Find Sammy Davis Jr.'s Eye in the Pie.
Oh my gosh.
I was Luciano Pavarotti. I made the kids play musical chairs with whoopee cushions because I ran a gas station and ate beans. I mean, what? It was so fun. And I
Nuts.
sang opera. That was like one game.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. But he would watch it with his son, and he goes, you're very funny. He goes, and guess what? He goes, you know, you're too good for that. He goes, wait. So he was kind.
Wow.
And meeting Lily Tomlin, which was, you know, she was a big thing for me. That wasn't we didn't become friends. Robert and I kind of became friendly. She was a little cooler. So you don't always want to meet your
Idols, yeah.
your idols. you know?
Yeah, sometimes it's not.
Well, ours was kind of like a little, you know, it wasn't like I went to like, you know, your stand up and was
No.
like, hi, Johnny, you know, stage door Johnny. Like we did a show together.
No.
And
Yeah, we did a show together, a musical together, and
yeah,
that's
and
how that happened.
That's how that happened. And I remember when I saw the cast list and I saw the emails, I was like,
Uh-oh.
Cantone. I was like that. I was like, oh, like a different person, like another Mario Cantone, because I didn't know in the moment that like you were a singer, and like, it just was like we were doing a show called Bliss. It was the most random musical ever, a great
So
show.
good. I saw it.
You did. He came and saw it in Seattle.
Seattle, yeah.
Oh, you saw it in Seattle? Yeah, Johnny, that's when it was like, okay. Because you know what? Things get fucked with, and it's just so annoying. We did the workshop we did together, that first one, where we actually did a lab, was so good.
It was amazing.
So good and so moving.
Yeah.
And then they fuck with it and tinker with it because they're all too close to it. Right. And it has to be about girl power. And the boy that she loves can't put the slipper on him. No, it's got to be the sister who you don't give a fuck about. So, you know, and then it changed things. Yeah. For me, I mean, for me it did. Yeah. It really did. I mean, I don't care if I'm talking out of place, and I don't care who hears this. That's how I felt about it. They know that's how I felt about it. Then we did it in Seattle, which was fine. And then Seattle, the worst city in the global universe. And guess what? I say this publicly all the time, and no one comes after me because they know it's true.
You know, Juan is actually on the podcast, has been a very ardent supporter of Seattle. When we said who can come to dinner with New York and LA, and he's like, I think Seattle could come to dinner with New York.
Oh, Juan! First of all, many white people will go tell a person of color what is racist and what they should be offended by. That happens a lot in Seattle.
Oh,
I see
what you mean.
My husband is a man of color, and he ran a theater there, and oh, don't get me started. No. I will kick the computer in.
There is a self-righteousness that Seattleians have. There is a holier than thou, perhaps. But they're very, it's the Frasier of it all. It's that like intellectual.
Yeah, there is a holier than thou, and I want to go like this, dude. You're in Seattle.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking the other day? You know how like conservatives have Karens? Like, I feel like there is a specific kind of white person that is a progressive that also has Karen energy, but it's about doing the right thing all the time.
Well,
and that's what
Johnny, you're so right. It's exactly what it is. And it's being woke is one thing. Being extremely overly woke, that's what causes that.
Yeah.
That's what causes that.
When you go to the Karen accounts on TikTok or, Karen's acting out, it's literally super alt-right and super alt-left.
Absolutely.
It's where they join hands. They meet in the middle there.
But
it's
universal because it's a type of person that feels like they're superior and they must give. They're like, I'm only doing this because I know that I can. And it's like a lot of us don't act that way or feel that way, that we have the right to tell people,
So what is her name? If a Karen is, let's give Karen to the more right.
Okay.
What is the left version? Elizabeth?
Jessica. Jessica. It's Jessica.
Oh my God. That's why Jessica Fletcher went by JB. She didn't want to be associated with it.
So we're recording before, but when this airs, and just like that, season 3 will be dropping. And
I'm the luckiest boy in the world.
You really are.
As my mother would say, you stepped in shit.
I was going to ask you
and you smell like it.
Because, okay, so you were on Sex and the City, right? That came to an end. And now, and just like that is the second iteration of it. I wanted to ask you 2 things. What was it like to get the call when you first were cast as Anthony? And then what was it like to get the call to say, hey, you're coming back and we want you as Anthony again?
Well, the first time was I was doing an off-Broadway play called The Crumple Zone by a playwright named Buddy Thomas, and it got like incredible reviews. We ran for 6 months off-Broadway, and it was great. So it was directed by Jason Moore, who directed Avenue Q. It was the first play or show he ever directed. And I remember I knew Michael Patrick King, who I went to basically stand-up school with. We did all of our proving grounds of being a stand-up comic at 44th and 9th, the original Improv. There's one in L.A. still, but there was one in New York that came first. So I met him there in the 80s, and he would always be the director. He would always throw shit at me, and he'd be like, okay, you're Joan Rivers. Edgar just died. You're on a cruise with Melissa and her friends. You're trying to heal. You're grieving. Go. And I would have to be like, Melissa, how are you, sweetheart? Hi, girl, sit down. Let's have some breakfast. Wait, could I have some eggs? Eggs. All right, I'm fine. Okay. Could I have some? What's your name, sweetheart? Sue. Could you bring me a side of Sue? A side of? It was suicide. So I would do this thing, and I did it a week after this happened. On stage, and people were like not laughing. So yeah, it was pretty sick. But anyway, Michael wrote me this part. I had to go in and read just as a formality, and then I had a tech rehearsal for the Crumple Zone, and they didn't want to let me out. I was like, "You can fire me. I'm going to do the shoot." And I was like, it's tech. I'm standing here and you're letting me. I'll be good. Yeah. So I went and I did. I remember starting at 3 p.m. We ended at 4 a.m. And that was that first scene of Vera Wang with hates it, that whole thing. Yeah. So yeah. And then it was a second scene where I was fitting her in the dress and she was getting very anxious because it wasn't fitting. And I ripped it with the scissors. And we looked at each other and she was furious. And that was the end of that scene. So that scene got cut because there wasn't enough coverage but it got cut, and I got to come back because we didn't have that kind of disagreement or
I see.
So they said in our relationship, in our working relationship at the time, because I was just working for her.
But you didn't end up even having that on that episode. You guys got along.
It was cut. Oh. That second scene was cut.
Yeah.
So that was great. So I remember running into Michael and saying, he said, we got a lot of great feedback on you. I said, I don't care. Am I coming back? And he said, yes. And then I came back the next year, and I only did 12 episodes, That was it. The last 4 seasons. I did 1 season 3, 2 season 4, 3 season 5, and 6 season 6. But the 2 movies kind of cemented it.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened. And then when this came back, I was just like, I didn't know in what capacity they were going to use me, whether it's going to be recurring, because I was always recurring. I recurred on everything. And Johnny, it's, it's certainly not the same. Yeah. It's great, but it's not the same. Yeah. And people think, I feel like you did so much more on the original. I really didn't. Yeah. I was just like Paul Lynde and Bewitched with only 17 episodes. So the second when they called me up for this, I was like, you're a regular? I was like, I'm a what? I've never been a regular. That was fantastic. Yeah. And I love this iteration more because it's a bigger role, it's deeper, it's richer. I get storyline. I'm a baker now. I did not like being a wedding planner. I did not know when I had to say the lace applique with the herb. I didn't know what I was saying. I had to I'm not good with that stuff.
Yeah, I love the storyline of you not wanting to bottom, which I think is so. It was so apropos too, because you talk to so many people, because now in 2025 everyone's like, oh, I'm a verse bottom, I'm a verse top, I'm verse. Yep. And back when I was growing up, and I'm sure for you it was like you had to identify, and so to have that
completely
that kind of like Giuseppe's character be a little more fluid, and it's like, oh, don't be so, and you're like, no. And also being an Italian man, I'm sure that also plays into his reticence for all of that.
No question. Just that one line where he gets frustrated at one point. He goes, because I'm not the woman. That's such a, the Italian thing to say. Yeah. Too. It really is.
Yeah.
So I love that scene. And then I got to, let me tell you something about that scene. So season 1, I do season 1. Season 2, Michael, I've already talked about this a lot, but I have to give this to you guys because it's interesting. The Season 2, Michael called me up, and I just was like, Michael Patrick King. Yeah. I said, please, just don't let him tell me I have to take my shirt off. Because I worked out all through my 40s, 30s, 40s, and then my 50s, I stopped. Yeah. I was like, why can't I just remain? Can't you take a pill to just remain looking good after all? Isn't there a reward? Yeah. So, because I always hated working out. So he said, you're going to be getting a love scene. You're going to be getting a boyfriend and a love story, and you're going to be getting naked. And I was like, naked? I said, I took my shirt off once in my prime, not even my prime, during Sex and the City. He goes, we can do it without, but I'd rather do it with, and I know you for years. You can get your gladiator work on it. I seen you do it. I'm like, really? So
gladiator.
Gladiator. So I started working out in November of 22, and in March of 23, we shot the scene where I was in bed with him and they had to show the back shot.
Yeah.
The night before that dropped, I didn't sleep. I was like, these homosexuals are going to come after me. You old fuck. Who do you think you are? I just was waiting.
Please.
And none of it happened.
That's so funny
None of it
because
happened.
I worked with Kim Cattrall on Queer as Folk, and I was talking to her about sex scenes, and she said, because I was like, you're probably used to all of this. She's like, I have to tell you, men are way more insecure about their bodies when it comes to sex scenes than women. And I was like, really? And then I thought about myself when I was doing like sex scenes. I was like, oh yeah, that does track. I was mortified, especially as a gay man. You're like, everyone's gonna, they're gonna watch this and be like, oh girl,
I think if you're a straight guy, it's a little easier. But I do have to say this. Once I got into some decent shape and I did it, I had the best time. First of all, Sebastiano Pagazzi, who plays Giuseppe, that's a gift. That's a gift as an actor. That's a gift as a person. He's one of my best friends now. I adore him. So, but back then it was just like, a few years ago, I was like, I get to kiss this beautiful boy. And I was worried about us, side by side in bed together. I was like, Jesus, it's going to be like Beauty and the Beast. What the fuck? But then I looked at it and I was like, all right, it's not that bad. It's not too bad. It's okay. But the crew, they're all straight guys. I know them all. We didn't care. And every time we either had a kiss or rub against each other, they were like, do you want an intimacy coordinator? We were like, no. Both of us were like, no, we're good. We're guys. We can, if he puts his hands on my ass or I grab his thigh and it's not choreographed, so what? We're good. Right. We're not going to Me Too each other. We're all right. Yeah. But the day that happened, we needed an intimacy coordinator for just legally. And it was fine. He kind of stepped aside because we were like, we're good. It was fine. And anyway, so that happened and it was all fun. And the DMs blew up a little bit, which I really enjoyed being sexual. 5 years old. Fucking go ahead. Go ahead. I'm old. Let's go. So this year there's more.
How do you feel? Because obviously you were around cruising before the internet really popped off and DMs were kind of like the way to go. How does it feel to be direct to consumer now?
Direct to consumer. Oh, that's interesting. It's great. It's great. It lets you know what people are thinking about you. These boys come after you with a vengeance, some of them, and women and girls. Oh, I get like nude shots from women. And I'm like, do you know who you're talking to? Aesthetically, you're lovely, but
if you ever were thinking, maybe.
Yeah,
they got to shoot their shot. Who knows?
It's fascinating. But what were you saying about what Kim said? It's more comfortable for a man on set because all the guys are straight and you're like, whatever, my ass is out. They be like, cover up. I'm like, yeah, all right. And you got this like white albino. It looks like the thing over your crotch. It looks like there's a smaller one and a larger one. And the slightly larger one looks like an albino horseshoe crab on your dick. Yeah. So I was like, they were like, cover up. I was like, all right. I mean, once they see your ass, it's like, they saw your ass. It's over. Okay, you're going to cover up and they're not going to remember it? They're never going to forget mine.
I remember I was doing a sex scene once and I had the little thing over the front.
Yeah.
But then I was bent over and I was like, wait a second. Everyone can see my hole, behind the camera. And I was like, we didn't think this through. I was like, whatever. If they're going to see it, they're going to see it, I guess.
What are you gonna do? But I told Michael I wanted more, and he was like, "All right." So I got more this year, but this season, kissing Sebastiano was weird because he's like my brother now. Yeah. So I was kind of over here,
right?
And we didn't have to do anything till towards the end of the season. I was like, "All right, here we go." So it was strange, but he's a gift.
What can you tease about this? What can we expect from you this season?
Yeah, well, I just told you you're gonna get a little bit more sex, but this my storylines are fast. Look, I always say this to them. I'm like, I'm the one regular on the show with the least amount of screen time, which is fine because I'm the laziest man in show business and I don't work that hard. But when I do work, I love it. I have the best time, and there's not a person on that show that I don't love and enjoy working with. So, I have some really interesting things. And of course, like last season, all my I guess juicier stuff comes towards the last 5 or 6 episodes. And there's 12 episodes this year instead of 10, which is lovely.
That's eating us.
No, hello, hello. Yeah.
What I love about the show is that it's catnip. It's so satisfying. If you are a fan of Sex and the City, like, of course, there are going to be people for whom it's never going to be enough. They want X, they want Y. Of course, that's true. But if you just love Sex and the City, the show is so comforting.
Mm-hmm.
You get to just, it's like watching a rerun, but it's new.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
You know, I just love it because it feels so familiar.
Yeah,
And
it's I think everybody's watching it, and people love it, people hate it, people hate it. You know, it doesn't get nominated for anything. We're not the cool kids anymore. Yet there are more people watching it than any other show on Max.
Like the element that now, because of like our smartphones and the way the world works now, that people are, you know, that there's so much content of the outfits, the looks, you know, from the shoots, of people just like stalking the shoots and sharing everything. And you would think that would, I don't know, I feel it builds excitement. I love seeing those stills and the footage from that people shoot of the, you know, we get to see this outfit and then you get to look forward to it and then see it on screen. It's an interesting element.
And to see the evolution of all these characters too. Like I said, mine became richer, bigger. It's a different kind of. He's the same guy, but he's evolved. Yeah. Sarah Jessica's character has evolved. Cynthia, whether you like it or not, Cynthia's character evolved. You know, they've all evolved into different things. And then there's new people. You know, Nicole Ari Parker's fantastic, and fucking Sarita Chowdhury's fantastic and wonderful. She's become a really good friend, and I just adore her. And Nicole, she's great. You know, they come over and I feed them caviar. That's the only way I can get those bitches to visit to eat.
It's also so nice, like Sex and the City came out at a time where there wasn't a lot of queer representation, and to have you and Willie on that show, being very, very different, you know, was so
very different. And you know,
inspiring.
That's why I didn't think I was going to come back, because you know, one gay guy on a show at that time was enough. Yeah, they didn't do two, so that was nice, and I got to work with him.
I think one of my favorite things about you and Willie's story together is that they put you together, and that, like, in that first movie, the New Year's kissing, and you just and like it. Sometimes you go, okay, we're kind of fitting like a square or a circle into a square peg, or vice versa, or whatever. But it just kind of felt like that is how you wrap that, or actually unwrap that, and like start this new chapter. And obviously it was really sad when, you know.
Yeah, it was awful. It was the worst
when he
thing
passed.
It also feels like such a true gay story, because I don't know if you guys feel this, but like in my 20s, there are people that I was like, I would never fuck that guy. Like, he's the worst, like his attitude, da-da-da. And then years later, I look at him and I see him in a different light. And I'm like, wait, I kind of like you now.
Yeah, life is long. Yeah. And Harris change.
Well, like, and I have no Harris.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true, John. So yeah. I mean, but I don't know. He was a great guy, and it was a very sad thing. And and you keep going, and and we held each other pretty tightly, all of us, after he passed. So Sarah Jessica really took care of. I mean, I'm sure she had her moment. And then I remember coming in the next day, the day after he passed. We were filming that scene with Jonathan Groff in the plastic surgeon's office. Yes. And I just came in, I saw her, and I broke down, and she took me outside, and you know, she took care of me. She's just. Well, she's like that. Yeah. When we work together, I sit there and talk with her. We just talk all day, and I adore her very, very much. She's an amazing number one. You know, on the call sheet. She's a great leader. She's just smart. And she turned me on to Tony's chocolate.
I love Tony's.
Shut up, Tony's chocolate.
Oh, so good.
What's Tony's chocolate?
The thick one.
Come on, the seen them. They're real colorful. They look like Willy Wonka bars. Yeah. They're like this big, and it says Tony's, and there's all different colors. They're in every bodega in the city.
Oh no, I haven't.
I'm gonna bring it
downstairs and get you one.
Yeah, I like dark chocolate. So the dark chocolate one, the dark chocolate with salt and almonds, you would love that one.
I would love that one.
Is it from New York? Where is Tony?
Who is Tony?
It's American. It's an American company.
Okay. Yeah.
So there'll be no tariffs. It's very, very,
no
very
tariffs.
cheap. It will stay, will remain. No tariffs.
Homegrown chocolate.
I just want to go like this. Oh, Hubble. Hubble.
So let's talk about Mario.
Did you listen to my book?
Let's talk about Mario on
go
the
ahead.
stage because you have your show at the Carlyle
Yes.
that's out now. Did you plan that to release at the same time?
No.
Just like that.
What do you think? I'm fucking nuts.
I was going to say
have
that's beautiful
I-
marketing.
I'll tell you what. No, I know, but you know what I did? I called my producer and I was like, look, they're talking to me about the Carlyle. It's the week before we premiere. We premiere really on Max on the 29th.
Yeah.
And usually it's like 2 days before we have a premiere party or whatever. And they were like, no, it won't be the week before. So I book it, and it's the week before the premiere parties. So I have. That's why I did Monday night the 19th, and I'm doing Thursday the 22nd through Sunday the 25th. So I don't do Tuesday and Wednesday because there's 2 different events that.
His first show is tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, Monday night. We're filming this on
When are you
Sunday,
going,
right?
Ian?
Yeah.
I'm going on Friday.
Okay.
With Juliana.
Huh?
Who I love.
Ah.
Juliana Joel. She's coming.
Oh,
Yeah.
Juliana. I love her.
Yeah.
She's the best.
I love her.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
very excited.
We met doing an episode of Raven's Home together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Juan, you met her at Glad.
Yep.
Yeah, you did. You were there that night. I met you at Glad. No, not at Glad. I met you
No.
at the Oscar party. That's where I met Johnny.
Oh, that's where you met Johnny. Yes. I met you at your house.
Yeah,
right.
Juan, you came with me. Yeah. But, you know, you're like a brother now.
Were we having caviar?
We were.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how I lured.
It was.
Yeah, that's my catnip.
Yeah. Yeah. We were.
Come on
having-
over. I got some caviar.
But
You make
you know,
really
it's
good eggs.
I make
yeah,
good eggs,
You
right?
make great
I make
eggs.
I make good breakfast. I cook breakfast for my husband every morning. You know
do?
that. I
What do you make? What do you? Is
I make
different every day?
Scrambled eggs with caviar. I make great poached eggs, pancakes. Sometimes I'll just like here's some good yogurt. You know, I remember telling Barbara when I was doing the View a lot. You know, I went out to dinner with Barbara Walters and she met my husband. She liked him a lot, and she, I said, I cook breakfast for him every morning. She was like, you cook breakfast for him every morning? I'm like, yeah, I do. And she's like, really? I said, yeah, what do you think? I'm like you? Like I throw a row of Oreos on my daughter's plate and I go to work? I'm like, no, I cook breakfast for him if I'm not working. But it's true. She couldn't believe it because people think that I'm like, he would be making me breakfast. Or he would be. That's not the way.
I will say that was one thing since our friendship that I was so not surprised at, but that you bake as much as you do, that you are as homely as
I'm homely.
No, not homely.
not homely. No,
Homey.
Homey.
homie. I guess.
Home-centered.
Homey.
Yeah,
Homemaker,
yeah.
like Sue Ann Nivens. Yeah, I'm a homemaker.
I feel like you have a
It's
little
really-
a little edge like Martha.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I'm like,
Martha in the kitchen.
I am.
Oof.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a backseat cooker. If Jerry's cooking, I'm like,
Oh,
meh. But he's a good cooker too.
He's a great
He's a
cooker.
good
He's
cooker.
the great cooker.
He's a cooker. Yeah,
I mean, that's
he's-
also why having the baker storyline must feel more familiar because
Oh my God, it was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah,
And
you
I
like
had
to be
a-
in the kitchen.
The weird thing is, like, even before COVID, I had a sourdough starter. I was making sourdough bread, but I make a banana bread and sell it to a coffee shop down the street.
Oh,
You know, I
wow.
make cookies. I make
Wait,
bread.
plug him in. What's the coffee shop?
Oh, it's called Stone Street Coffee. It's not there all the time because I do have a fucking life, all right? So, but
We love a pop-up
Yeah.
bread.
yeah, I just like go here.
It's there when it's there, and it's not there when it.
I
ain't.
did a lot of press this past week, and every talk show I did was like, "Can you make your banana bread?" I was like, "I don't have time." So Tamron Hall was like, "Will you please make your banana bread?" So I made it for her, and I brought it on. And they want you to bring stuff, and I do sometimes.
You bring a lot.
I feel like
to
the
table,
artistic-
no matter what.
I feel like the artistic community in New York is so vibrant. Like I feel like, living in LA versus New York, there's just like a real family vibe because you see the same people and people go to the shows. They're very supportive. Whereas in LA, it's kind of, it feels, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but it feels a little more like Piranha vibes.
Yeah. Also, I feel like when you're in, when I lived in LA right out of college, and I lived there for 9 months. And even when I go there, I mean, it's like you never see your friends. It's like it's too far to go. And people have shit to do. So here, especially the theater community,
Yeah.
that's where it's really like, okay, this is. I mean, I haven't done a show in the theater in a long time, but I've done 5 Broadway shows and maybe like 4 off-Broadway shows. So, I mean, those and workshops, and, that's where you meet people that stay in your life, like him.
It's a very social community.
Yeah.
And that
It's
is
good. We have a
bottom
good time.
line. Backstage culture and what are you doing after the show?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Going to Joe Allen still,
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah.
Going to Bar Central. I mean, I love all that stuff. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
And
I'm very waiting for the girls upstairs.
yeah, and because theater is also the actor's medium, so it's like, do you prefer doing theater? If you could make the money doing theater that you do TV and film, would you only do theater?
Well, look, Johnny, I'm old, so I mean, it's tiring.
tired.
I mean, it's tiring, and I'm in better shape now than I have been in a while.
Yeah.
But yes, I want to do another show. I mean, doing another one-man show, that's daunting.
Yeah.
And it's almost happened again, and I feel like I didn't push it through because of fear and just knowing that it's exhausting. There's a lot of stuff that you fuck up in your life that you don't follow through on.
Yeah.
That you just that you make a demand on something that you know that you're not going to get, so it falls through. Is all fear. So now when I don't want to do something, they're like, why? Why don't you? It's fear. I don't want to do it. It's fear. I'm afraid. And I know you're supposed to break through the fear, which believe me, I've done many, many times during my life.
Right.
But now sometimes I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
What if you were asked to do Mama Rose?
Who asked that question?
That was Johnny.
Well,
That was Johnny.
Johnny, your mouth didn't move. Wow, you're quite a ventriloquist. What was if I was asked to do that? I'd fucking do it.
I feel like you'd be such a
do
good
that.
Mama
Did you
Rose.
see this one?
I did.
You'd be
I
a
actually
great
sang.
Mama
I
Rose.
sang Rose's turn for Betty Buckley at a tribute.
Wow.
She did it. Yeah. It was fun. But I do it. And boy, and I saw Audra twice. She was phenomenal.
Yes.
Betty was amazing. Betty Buckley. Patty the Poem was unbelievable. Bernadette Peters. And my first one was Tyne Daly.
Oof.
Oh, wow.
And she was quite something.
Oh,
she
I
was
bet
something.
she was like.
Yeah. And she couldn't even sing. She was unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's like, what? Twice I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Juan, did you hear that? I feel like that would have been a really good one for you. And she didn't even sing.
No, it's. What I
That
was
sounds like
going to
something
say is
Juan would say.
Yes, because it's a thought I've had many times.
She knows.
But when you listen to the cast recording of that production, she cannot sing, but it doesn't sound bad.
Right.
No, she doesn't sound bad at
I don't
all.
know how else to say that.
She's not
but
the traditional singer. She's not the traditional belter that usually does that role. She knows that too. It didn't matter. She was well. It's like I remember seeing
like a linebacker just down on zero.
I saw Stockard Channing in a production of Pal Joey, and she sang "Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered," and she really can't sing, and she was unbelievable. And I think she's one of the great.
She's one of the great.
Stage actresses, great film actress. I remember saying to her one time, to see you in 6 Degrees of Separation on stage, and then see how you toned it down for the film for that medium, but you still did the same thing. I said it was a masterclass in acting.
Yeah.
To juxtapose those two and see it.
Even her and
To be able to move through one another.
even her in First Wives Club, which our podcast is based on. Even when she's out on that balcony and she does this with her hair, I'm like, oh, she's just one of a kind.
Oh, she's one of the greats. Well, The Fortune, that movie, The Fortune with Jack Nicholson, her first movie with Jack Nicholson and Warren Beatty, directed by Mike Nichols.
Mike Nichols.
She was something. Mike Nichols.
Mike Nichols.
Long
said to me one time.
autobiography, but so good.
But so good,
Very
absolutely
good.
great biography too by Mark Harris. And I met him. He saw me in Assassins. He was like, you were great in Assassins. You should do more acting. I was like, well, come get me.
I love when people say that. It's like, hello,
I love you.
I'm for hire.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. Hi, I'm right here. Here, I'm working my street corner.
Right.
Yeah.
A street corner named Desire.
Yes.
Mario, what are you? So what? Tell us about this show. What is this new? What are you
Some new material, some old material. Yeah, it's just stand up. People always go, "What's your theme?" I go, "Themes ruin things." No, there's no theme. You just do it. I talk about pop culture, about I'm obsessed with Turner Classic Movies, and I now work for them a lot, so I fucking love that. Oh, they're the greatest. Doing that stuff is, how it brings me alive. Yeah. I just did they do Summer Under the Stars every August, which is 1 star a day for 24 hours. Wow. Cary Grant one day, Jimmy Cagney. I usually do 2 things a year for them. It started out with just October with me and Ben Mankiewicz, Creepy Cinema. We've done it for the past 5 years. And then the third year, they gave me Mother's Day. And the 4th year, they gave me 70s movies in July. So this year, they were like, what about Summer Under the Stars? I was like, well, I didn't know I could infiltrate that. So they said, pick 4. You'll do 1 a week. So I do Jimmy Cagney, Joan Crawford, Judy Garland, and Shirley MacLaine.
Shirley.
So
can you tell
my first choice? Yeah, I know.
Yeah. What is your favorite Shirley MacLaine film?
The Turning Point. And I couldn't get it because, when you work for TCM, it's like a puzzle. There are things that aren't available. Sure. They don't have the rights to it. They cost too much money, whatever. And then it comes back around. It's there was years that we couldn't get The Other, which is one of my favorite Robert Mulligan movies from 1972. Couldn't get it. And that's The Turning Point. Yeah, bitch.
I literally bought this on eBay.
Yeah.
I bought it on eBay because I just knew I was going to want to own have the access to be able to watch it, and I didn't trust that Netflix was going to have it, or
no, they don't,
and nobody
has it.
I think it's so important. If you love a film or an album or something, you have to own it.
You have to.
I have more DVDs. I'm like a hoarder. They're all over my apartment. But I this was the first one. They couldn't get it. But like I said, I was trying to get The Other for years, and I finally got it last year. So these movies aren't always available. Even they own all the Warner Brothers stuff, but even some of them are like caught up in litigation for some reason.
Oh hell!
And like last July we did 70s movies, and we got Looking for Mr. Goodbar, which is one of my favorite movies. And because of all the disco music, the Tramps and Gloria Gaynor. I mean, they never released it on DVD, and they just did with the 4K restoration, and it's beautiful. So, but we showed that. But yeah, I love this. Shirley MacLaine, we did. I watched 2 for the Seesaw, which was based on which was a play by William Gibson, who wrote The Miracle Worker. On Broadway, it was Henry Fonda and Anne Bancroft who won the Tony Award for it. But the movie was made. And it was Shirley MacLaine and Robert Mitchum, who ended up having an affair for 3 years afterwards. And it's you can tell it's a play, but it's really good. So I was going to pick that. And then I watched Terms of Endearment. I was like, I have to do Terms of Endearment. So I did Terms of Endearment. I did Sweet Charity, which is flawed, but I love it so much. Yeah. And we got to talk about Fosse and stuff like that. So Ben Mankiewicz and I just filmed our Summer Under the Stars. So that's on in August. And then in October, we'll do Creepy Cinema again. But that shit, it brings me more joy than.
Yeah. And it's one of the moments, it's one of the biggest things that I think we connect on because I grew up, it's why you love my dad, is like, I grew up on like those golden age movies.
And the stories his father has, and a lot I haven't even heard because I haven't been face to face with him yet in the same room. Like, I want to know. I mean, he knew Sal Mineo and he was around all that. It's an amazing thing. It really is.
But like it's a different way that I learned about film with my dad and his trivia, which was amazing. And what I know that like I share with my friends is mainly to do with him. But I feel like I have a continued education happening when I'm with Mar because I think I know what I know, and then I'm like sharing something to him, and then he teaches me something brand new. It's hard because not everyone that I know was born in the 1800s, so it's important to keep those people around. Otherwise, a lot gets missed.
Yes, history gets lost.
It does. Well, Jane Fonda said at the when she got her AFI award, she said, that Meryl Streep was one of the only ones she ever worked with that asked questions of her. She said it's much better to be interested than be interesting.
Well,
if you're with someone, you need to like I used to sit at Lauren Bacall's feet at Hal Prince's Christmas party and ask her questions. Right. Everyone else was afraid of her, and I'd be sitting there with her like tell me about Bogey. Well, Bogey wasn't an alcoholic. He just loved to drink. She's like, what about Barbra Streisand? Barbra Streisand really pissed me off. And she'd tell me the story. And even though she loved Barbara, but like all these, that's what I want to know. I want to.
That's what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
I'm sitting at your feet asking you to tell me all the stories.
That's right. And I always say to him, go, ask your father questions. Dig in. Because sometimes, your father and son, sometimes you're not always talking closely enough because it's a different relationship.
I want to ask about, okay, so you did Assassins with the late, great Stephen Sondheim. I want to know one amazing thing about Stephen, and then I want to know one bitchy gay thing about Stephen.
Well, he could be acerbic. He could say some mean things. Not to me. He was really good to me. He getting a compliment from him about, I remember my last night, what he said to me, which was just like, you didn't push for the laps, you just did it. He was very nice to me. I remember when he came to see me in Laugh Whore, my one-man show, I would see him in the audience, and he was laughing so hard, had the playbill like up above his face, but he liked the nastiness. He liked, because I dig in.
Raunchy.
I go. He liked it not nasty, he liked it raunchy. He liked it cutting.
Yeah.
He loved when I made fun of people that you're not supposed to make fun of. So, because he definitely did that. I knew him well, but I wasn't that close to him. But he was. What a gift that I got to fucking work with him.
It's amazing.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, he was a brilliant man, and that. Yeah, but he was. I don't have anything really bitchy about him, but he could be a bitch.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
He was tough. He was a perfectionist, and
A complicated man.
Do you know? Oh my God.
he was complicated.
Do you know the story about his little feud with Liza for a second and how?
What kind of feud? I never had a feud with Stephen Sondheim.
I heard.
What did you hear?
I heard through the grapevine that
The
when you
grapevine.
filmed your special, Liza with a Z, and she finished with, I think it was, not Rose's. And you'll just sit and rock.
Some people. I love doing some people. I wanted to play the role, and no one ever let me. They didn't offer me. And I think Arthur Lawrence thought I was risky because I was turbulent at the time. But I think I would have been a terrific Rose. And at one time, I was too young. When I was doing Lies with Lucy, I was just too young to play Rose. But yes, I think what was Stephen's problem?
The problem was you said a wrong lyric at the end of it, and so he was like, you couldn't air that song on your live.
Yes, but later on, I corrected the lyric, and I begged him on my hands and knees, just let me do it. Please. I promise I'll fix the lyric, and I did. And I did it again. I don't remember that.
What? Can you?
Did you see my documentary?
I did watch it.
Gather around, I got a story to tell.
Kay Thompson.
Kate Thompson, she was my godmother. And she got me. She showed me who Liza was and not Judy Garland's daughter. That's what she did. Oh, Michael, could you bring me some tea?
Yeah. Michael's definitely
And
on
that's
tea
what you
duty
get when
for
you go to a
sure.
Mario Cantone show, honey.
Yeah, a little bit. And I do her mother. I do Bruce Springsteen.
Oh my gosh.
You know the song.
I've never seen the Bruce.
Oh, well, you're in for it, motherfucker.
Very
And
topical right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Isn't that interesting? It is. He's always topical, though, right? But I know. With him and Obama, they're like buddies. Michelle was playing the tambourine like someone out of Josie and the Pussycats on stage with him. But yeah, so I don't know. And I talk about TCM. I talk about pop culture a little bit. I'm not so up on the pop culture of today. I mean, I don't. The most current I get is Beyonce because I do love her.
Yeah.
I finally, I went to the TCM Film Festival, presented about 6 movies there, and I stayed an extra day and went to her opening night on Monday.
Oh.
And I know her a little bit,
shit.
not too
Okay.
much, but I've met her a few times, and we've had some good conversations. And she was tremendous.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to go see anybody else right now. This is insane what she did.
Yeah.
And I had to get good seats. I don't like the floor. I know, Johnny, you were on the floor.
Was, yeah.
I'm like, well, you're young. You can stand the fuck up. I got, that loge that where you were,
Yeah.
I was right in that first row.
section.
So whoever stood up in front of me
Yeah.
was not blocking me because I don't want to stand when I don't want to stand. So I sit. I was in that front row, and it was a great seat. She was, and I saw Oprah and Gail. I was like, these bitches are 90 years old. How do they feel like standing down there? They were down there in the pit. I'm like tired. So yeah, she was quite great.
Yeah.
The first time I met her was at the View. I was going in. She was coming out. And she looked at me and she grabbed my arm. She was like, "You're so funny." And I was like, "Hold it 1 second." I said, "Let me just tell you something." And this was right after Cadillac Records and Dreamgirls. I said, "You've worked very hard to become a really good actress." I said, "It is, and you've done it." I said, "You're so good in both those movies." I thought she was great. And then I was at this restaurant, a Japanese restaurant, and she came in and sat right next to me at the counter with Jay. And she was like, "Hey," I was like, "Hey." So we basically had dinner together. And we were talking about A Star Is Born. She was in negotiations.
I remember
for it at
that.
the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, she was asking me what my favorite version was. I said Judy Garland's, and she said mine's not going to have that much music in it, but some. And we just talked about a lot of stuff. And she's like, "You sing?" I said, "Yeah, I sing." I said, "But my husband sings more. He's much better." And we just talked about a lot of things. And then I did say this to her. I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, I saw Dreamgirls in 1981 when it was in Boston before it got to Broadway. And then I saw it the night after the Tony Awards. I said, "Just so you know," I said, "no matter who plays Dina," and there was nobody better than you. There was nobody else that could have done that role as great as you. Your beauty, your talent, all of it. I said, Effie always gets the accolades. And that's just how it is. So you need to know that. It has nothing to do with you. I said, "You were tremendous.
Yeah.
Just as great, if not better." Yeah. So, and she's the thing I get from her, just the few small times that I've been with her, she's in awe of the fact that she is who she is. There's a humility about her that you don't expect. Like a little girl, like she doesn't say it, but you feel like she doesn't really believe or get what this all is.
Right.
Maybe she does, but very humble, very sweet.
That's why she's Beyonce.
That's why she's freaking ridiculous. She's unbelievable. So anyway, yeah, I saw Beyonce. What was that?
I don't know.
Someone's opening a very creepy oven.
They're turning on the water outside of my apartment.
Oh, is that what it is? God.
It's an old building.
Oh, you're in LA.
Texas. Mario, I saw Assassins.
You did?
City 54. I did. And it was I had known Stephen Sondheim. I mean, obviously I was a theater kid, and I, like Ian, loved Sondheim from an early age. Yeah. But seeing Assassins, it was like, oh, wait a minute. Musical theater can be more than what I had ever imagined it could be. Yeah. It was so intense.
And how do
you,
people go, how do you describe it? I'm like, well, it's like all these people that attempted to or succeeded in assassinating a president living in limbo together.
Yeah.
It's like crossing paths. And it's just, I saw it 3 times when it originated off Broadway. I waited in that cancellation line 3 times and saw it when Jerry Zaks directed it, and it was tremendous. And it was dismissed. It was dismissed kind of critically, and it was during the first war in the Middle East. I think Bush was president, and
was it yours also kind of fraught with like 9/11 happening, and then it?
Well, this is the thing that happened with me. First of all, I called Joe Mantello and I said, "I know you're doing Assassins," and he goes, "What, you want to be in it?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I've already cast you." I'm like, "What?" I thought Gateau, because it's the flamboyant role. He goes, "Sam Bick." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Go read those monologues." He goes, "No one will be able to turn them the way you can." Ooh. So I did it, and it was like, it was supposed to be 2001, and my character Sam Bick attempted to hijack a plane to crash it into the White House to kill Nixon. That's his story. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So 2001 happens. I do the workshop for the producers, Mel Brooks. Yeah. I played Carmen Gia. I met Mel on Letterman when I did it, when Nathan hosted it, when David was having his heart surgery. So he offered me the role. I did the workshop, and negotiated for it, and it wasn't even about money. It was about I only wanted to do 6 months because I needed to leave to go do Assassins in November of 2001, and they wouldn't give me 6 months, which was really infuriating. Because believe me, I know people that do 3 months that aren't even a name, and they open the show and they leave. They wouldn't give me 6 months. I'm like, I'm not going to make or break the show. It's about Nathan and Matthew, rightfully so. They were phenomenal in it. So they said no, and I didn't get to do it. But at that time, I was just starting to do episodes of Sex and the City. And, you know, when you're a middling name or a no name, theater doesn't always let you out to go do that episodic.
Of course.
So in a way, it worked out really well. And then we ended up doing Assassins in 2004. So that's how that
Did
ended.
anything have to change around the sort of tone or like
No, we did it.
anything? It was just the same.
Same. My monologues were the same. Because I remember Joe calling me and saying it was canceled in 2001. He goes, "Do you want to go out and try to make those monologues funny?" I was like, "Yes, I do." I was so upset. But yeah, it was. You look at Joe Mantello directed 3 out of the 5 Broadway shows I did. The first one was Love, Valor, Compassion. I replaced I replaced Nathan Lane, and it won the Tony that year for Best Play. Worked with Terrence McNally. That was, you know, I did that show, and then at the end of it, I was like, well, it's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
What else? What else is there?
Where do you go from
Where do you go? Yeah, I'll tell you where I went after that. I did The Tempest with Patrick Stewart, who I love very much, but Shakespeare, and that was rough. I mean, it's supposed to be a comedy. I played Stefano, one of the clowns. I was like, these are 400-year-old jokes. You make them funny. And we were in a pit of sand because it was an island. I had sand in my crack, in my ear, and my nose. I was spitting it out. Anyway, everybody wants to be famous for 15 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that timely? Except, you know, people don't always assassinate someone to be famous. They register themselves on TikTok.
Yeah. And start posting twice a day.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not good with the social media. I'm just not good with it. I want to choke it.
Yeah.
I want to choke social media. I want to choke it. I want to kill it. I always say to Ian, I was like, let me tell you, when I go off on Twitter and I go, you're an idiot, your opinion sucks, you don't even fucking know what you're talking about. When I go off, you will know I have 6 months to live.
You really just give it to him. That's so funny. Well, speaking of social media, we had some milkers. We call our listeners milkers.
Milkers?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little grotesque,
Yeah, a little
but
bit.
they're into it.
Sondheim would have loved it.
Yes, he would have.
So, rapid fire, Mario.
Oh, God.
Which diva lives inside of you? Cher, Liza, Joan Rivers? Who is the biggest in you?
I think the biggest one that's in me, that's a tough one, that's in me that I feel like sometimes, Joan Crawford.
Oh, wow.
Joan Crawford.
What about Joan?
Well, she didn't suffer fools, yet she was kind and warm, and she was very acknowledging. If you talk to anybody that worked for Joan Crawford, they never had a bad thing to say about her, except
Betty.
Betty.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
Well, but
Joan Crawford was totally and utterly impossible to work with. That's my Betty after the stroke. Yes, she really was. Well, during Baby Jane, you know, I had to drag her across the floor at one point, and she strapped weights around her waist. I nearly broke my back. Really. She had a different set of breasts on every day. It was like bumping into the goddamn Hollywood Hills. She actually said that. But yeah, Joan Crawford, and I think she was a pro. She was, I don't know,
ambitious and
but I'm not ambitious though. I don't think I'm. My drive is. I don't think I ever had a lot of drive. I guess when I was younger I did, but.
And that's okay. Look at
you don't get to have a one-man show on Broadway without drive.
Well, my first 5 years of doing stand-up, I was riddled with fear. Riddled. But I would go on stage. I would either kill or bomb.
Yeah.
Very 50-50 with me. But yeah.
Okay, question number 2.
Yeah.
How did growing up in an Italian-American family shape your comedic voice?
Well, because my mother was horrifying, but she was funny. She was very funny and rude. My sister Marion, who passed away a few years ago, she was a theater arts teacher here in New York City at PS 158, beloved, but also in her day did Reno Sweeney's and the grand finale and When We Win and all the great clubs. Played Provincetown every year, opened for Whalen Flowers.
Wow.
She was a big deal for me. She was the reason why I did all this. She influenced that a lot because my mother would say to me, my mother was a singer on the radio when she was young. She was like, "Don't do it." I'm like, "Why?" I said, "You don't think I'm talented enough." "I think you're talented. It's just a rotten business. You don't want to do it." You know, sometimes she's right, but she was. And my cousin Annette was fucking hilarious. She was like one of my best friends. She influenced me a lot. My sister's best friend Harold was another one that influenced me a lot.
Wow.
Was it the kind of house where everyone was performing for each other? You were kind of
no, it was a
constantly
very
like
dark
top
house.
each Yeah.
No. But when I was young, you know, I used to sing. I knew the Judy Garland Carnegie Hall album, double album set. I knew it from top to bottom. I knew the whole thing. I would sing it on the coffee table for company. And then I was 8. Then I graduated to Funny Girl.
Ooh.
You know, and I would sing Funny Girl for company. And then, you know, they would make me do it. My mother would sing something. And, you know, my aunts was like, try to use reverse psychology. He doesn't know how to do it, you know, to get me to do it. And I would sing. And then my mother didn't like the fact that I was gay. I was like, well, mixed messages, Mom. So, you know, you're encouraged me to learn Judy Garland. But yeah, I mean, but I was not. I guess I was encouraged by certain people, sure, but not my mother.
This is so random, but like it's crazy that you grew up singing Judy Garland at age 5 or 8 for two. Excuse me, and then now you are hosting Turner Classic Movies stuff with Ben Mankiewicz, whose grandfather produced.
His grandfather Herman wrote Citizen Kane. And his great uncle, Joseph L. Mankiewicz, wrote and directed All About Eve and Letter to the Three Wives. I mean.
But what about Wizard of Oz? Isn't there something to do with Wizard of Oz?
No, they didn't. I don't think they had anything to do with
really?
Wizard of Oz, no.
Okay.
I could be wrong,
okay,
but I don't think so. But, yeah.
Insane.
Okay, question number 3.
Oh, God.
If you could have dinner with 3 divas, dead or alive, who's sitting at the table?
Well, as much as I love Judy Garland, I don't think I'd want to have dinner with her. No. I think she was alive.
Right.
Why don't think she'd eat?
No, I
She'd
would
push
eat
around the
something.
peas.
I'd have some white wine and maybe a New York strip steak. God, that's a rough one. And there's some that I knew, like, you know, Joan Rivers I loved. I've been with her quite a few times. I'd like to sit, and I knew her too. Anne Bancroft. Because I knew she was awesome. Comfortable. I made her pizza gaino, which is an Italian Easter pie, because she's from Naples originally. Her family's from Naples. And I was like, "Do you know what pizza gaino is?" She was like, "Of course I do." And I said, "I made you some." "You made me pizza gaino?" I'm like, "Yeah." And Mel said that they ate a little bit every day. Wow. But yeah, Anne Bancroft, Shirley MacLaine. I know she's a tough motherfucker. Yeah. Deborah Winger.
Ooh.
Deborah. Yes.
Wow.
That would be quite the affair.
They'll be nice. Yeah, that's not bad.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's good.
Those are very good.
I'd like to Joan Crawford. Yeah, I'd like to sit with Joan Crawford.
Yeah.
I actually, you know, we were supposed to do this at the beginning of this episode, but there was no ice to break, really. But we really did. But I have a little game and some questions for you. Oh my god. So this one is going to be called Too Much or Not Enough. So I'm going to say a topic.
Mae West would say, nothing's too much, nothing's not enough. All right, go ahead.
So I'm going to say something, and you're going to tell me if there's too much of that, or if you're like, not enough. Okay. All right? Okay, first thing. Judy Garland tribute episodes.
Not enough.
Okay. Instagram thirst traps.
Too much.
Gay men who don't know who Betty Davis is.
Gay men who don't know who Betty Davis is. Too much. Too many of them.
Yeah.
Monogamy.
Who?
Yeah.
If I hear who's, then you got to explain it. I don't mind teaching it and explaining it, but you know, it's brutal.
Monogamy.
Too much.
Okay, next one. Che Diaz.
No comment.
Open relationships.
Not enough.
Yeah.
Patti LuPone yelling at audiences.
Not enough. She should
nearly
keep
enough.
yelling. I love her.
Straight actors playing gay roles.
I mean, too much, but I don't mind it. You know, I'm
If
like,
they're good, they're good.
they're good. They're good. You
Yeah.
can't, you know, when you
It's case
audition
by
for something,
case.
and you know what? When they audition, you can't go, "Are you gay or straight?" You can't ask them that.
Of course,
So
it's
you know,
illegal.
it depends on what it is.
Yeah. All right. Banana bread, but with chocolate chips.
No, too much.
Okay.
You don't put chocolate chips in banana bread.
Okay. All right. Last one here. Mario Cantone impersonations.
Someone doing me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, someone do. I've never seen anybody do me.
Not enough.
Supposedly Shia LaBeouf told me that he did it on a sketch on SNL when he was hosting it. This is what I worked with him doing of Surf's Up, that animated movie.
Great film.
Yeah, it's a great film. He said that they cut it after dress rehearsal, but he played me, and I wish I had gotten to see
Wow.
it. Yeah. So no, I don't know anybody that does me. I'm not big enough for people to do me. That's I just want to stay home.
You're so Beyonce in that way.
You are.
That's not true. I'm so not. I'm an arrogant little prick. Are you kidding me? How large is my suite that I'll be staying in for the Turner Classic Movie Festival? I need a floor plan.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's where I'm a bitch.
With
Where I'm
toilets,
staying.
fresh
Even
toilets in
That's
every
Joan
bathroom.
wasn't Joan known for that?
Oh, Joan had her rider.
Yeah.
And her whole, she was like, "We don't need to be giving out money for tips or unnecessary things." She was.
Something else.
I love it.
She was something else.
Yeah, she was
Wow.
something else.
Mar, this was really I think it's the first time I barely spoke on this podcast.
Yeah, I was wondering.
And
I was looking at
thankfully
this.
so.
Do you have
No,
any
because
questions?
honestly,
Well, you know me well,
if we
too.
played the tape back, I'm really just listening to you and like
He's
I
actually
just-
actively
you know-
listening to you, whereas with us, he's waiting for his turn. to speak.
yeah. I'm like, how do I get like
How do
my
I get in?
yeah.
correct? How do I get my hot take? But it's just like this was such a joy, and I'm just so happy for you, and we're so excited for And Just Like That,
Well,
and for the world to get and anyone who's grown up with Sex and the City and Anthony Marentino and the you know like
Yeah.
it's
catalog
great,
of
but for anyone new who's like, oh my god, like they're getting to know you in this new way, and it's so exciting, and you know we all three definitely are so like here to champion you getting your flowers.
Thank you.
Yes, we really
It's
are.
been good. Look, there's that, TCM and Just Like That. I'm good, but there's a series called Gravesend that I'm on Amazon Prime, where I play like kind of a gay man that's a slightly well-known designer in the 80s in New York, and I'm best friends with a maid mafia guy. It's not a major role; it's a recurring role, but it's an interesting role.
Recurring.
But
Like chlamydia.
but it was like chlamydia, exactly, like gonorrhea. But it's a fun role. Willie DeMeo, who wrote and directed it and stars in it, he wrote me this pretty cool role.
That's amazing.
And there's a movie called Can't Let It Go that's on Amazon Prime too, about the 2016 Trump election.
Oh.
Like these group of people in New York that are affected by it.
Wow.
That don't
When is
really
that?
know each other. It's on Amazon Prime now.
Oh,
Can't Let It Go.
We'll be
Yeah.
streaming.
Let It Go.
It's
We'll be
interesting.
streaming.
Yeah. Look, not everything's perfect, but
yeah.
I'm glad I get to do things.
Yeah. And we're glad
But
that you get to do things because we love watching you. We love
We
Well,
love
experiencing you.
I love you guys. This was really fun. Of
course.
I had a
Yeah,
great time.
we
Thank
did
you,
it.
Ian, for
Oh my
bringing
God.
me and Johnny and Juani. Juani, how I love you, my dear old Juani. I give the world to see among the folks in GIX. I even know my Juani.
Mario,
Wow.
next time, this is just a tease for your next visit. I want to unpack Betty Davis and Faye Dunaway next time.
Okay.
Put a
well,
pin in that.
That requires
it
time.
requires time. Because when I do Betty Davis, I go in it and I can't get out.
I thought you were gonna say she's the one who's her or Liza's the one who's kind of in you more.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I think
They're
I don't,
all there.
Liza, I don't feel like her. But look, channeling, when you do the impression and you can't get out of it, yeah, the Liza's one of them. Davis is, not Betty Davis is much more. Yeah.
Would
I
you
just
like
can't get out.
to say thank you to our listeners and all of that as Julia Child, and thanks for having me?
This was a lovely cooking session with Johnny, Juani, and Ian. We've made a lovely puff pastry, a very gay puff pastry that explodes with lots of pink and blue glitter. It's edible, of course, because if it isn't, then it's toxic and you can choke on it and die. And no amount of Heimlich movements can get glitter out of one's throat. You can see you can barely get it off your forehead or your hand if you hug a drag queen. So you just cannot get rid of glitter. There you go.
Oh, sorry, you guys. I know we have time.
We don't have time.
Kathleen Turner.
Kathleen Turner. Oh God. Well, you know, Kathleen. Well, you know, I was the 4th of July. I was in Bolinas, which is a lovely place on the coast of California, and I was there. And interesting because you can see there's a great white shark infestation on the surface. See the great white sharks, and they just stop like a prayer circle. And then they continue surfing when they see the great white shark infestation go away. There are shipwrecks and old hippies and this is a wonderful place. There's one bar called Smiley's and we have a great time. I drink vodka tonic. I come in and they give me my vodka tonic. By the end of the night, it's just vodka.
Wow, I feel like we owe you some money after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She's one of the last of the great stars, Kathleen Turner.
And one of the great voices. That speaking voice is something. Well, until next time, milkers, we love you.
We love you. Thank you,
Love
Mario.
you guys.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Qué rico.